Welcome everybody to another Grimm Tales Deep Cuts. I am your host, Gabri, as always, and we have another horror movie to talk about. That's right, because that's what we do here every Friday. We have our movie that we deliver to you. And tonight on the chopping block is a ghost story. And I actually found this film by accident. This was not a requested one. This was not something that was originally in my list. I was actually looking for information on another film that I was planning on doing. And this one kept popping up. And then I watched a trailer for it. So I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Looked it up, wanted to see if I had to rent it or if it was streamable. Landed up being streamable. So I was like, all right, let's do that one. And then I landed up doing this one instead of the one that I was originally going to do. Not to say that the other one that I wanted to do is not going to still happen, but this one really looked interesting from the trailer. So I was like, oh man, don't really get to do ghost stories too much. So why not? Man, I probably would have been better doing the other one, but whatever. We'll get into that when we get into that. That's for the actual episode itself. We don't spoil things here, especially not the whole episode here, okay? This is a spoiler-free episode as well. I know some people think that this is similar to the podcast. It is not. For those who are new to the franchise, or the deep cuts, but not Grimm Tales as a whole. Over on the podcast, yes, that is a more open-ended discussion, so we spoil a lot there. So if you want to hear deep conversations or be a part of deep conversations, the podcast is for that. But deep cuts is general discussions. I tell you how I feel about certain things, and then I give you a score. We're only here for 30 minutes, so we don't waste too much, and we don't spoil things, okay? Keep that in mind going forward. We don't do that here. At least not anymore. I know in the first couple episodes we did, and we're sorry about that. We were just getting off of the way that we used to do because we were moving everything to the podcast, from the podcast to this. So it was a little different. But we found our groove, and we know what we want to do here versus what we want to do in the podcast. So keep that in mind. That's what we do. Before all that, though, before we get into tonight's topic, you know what we got to do? We always do it. HuelessVision.com, right there. Go to it. Love it. Share it. Everything is there. Everything from Grimm Tales stuff relating. Everything relating Grimm Tales. Everything game nights. Revision. General projects that I might do. Music. Whether it's movies, short films, music, anything. It's all there. Everything that I have my hand in one way or another is there. But the difference between the network and this is all me. Right? This is all, Hueless Vision is everything that I am involved with. I might have some people involved in some stuff that I do, but everything is primarily stuff that I do myself. It's not like the network, where the network was me, a part of a much larger machine. So this is my thing. This is me. That's why you're here with Hueless Vision. You like the things that I do. So again, HuelessVision.com, check it out. You also see the merch store. If you want to help support, you want to push the cause, you want to do all that other good stuff, it's a great way to do it. Not the only way. Financial is not the finite. That's not the only way you can support Hueless Vision. But it is a great way to do it, and it goes a long way, because if you want to see how far things have come, go watch things from back in the Noble days of how everything started, and then watch this stuff. It's a night and day almost. The production value, hardware, everything has gone up. So it is a great way to help out the cause. It does go, the money that you put in for merch and donations and so forth and so on, they do go where they're supposed to go. Just keep that in mind. But again, it is not the only way you can support the channel. Again, getting down there, commenting, sharing with your friends to get other people to watch, all that goes a mile. You'll also be able to find all of our other stuff that we do across the board when it comes to our platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Rumble, Twitch. It's all there, okay? You'll also be able to find our Discord server, okay? And that goes a long way. I can't stress that. The Discord server is really important because it is the best way to get in touch with us and reach us and let us know either you just want to have a chat with us or you want to be involved in whether it's the game nights or the podcast or anything else. Great way to get that information to us. You can also do it on our socials and the emails, but the fastest way is the Discord. You'll find that at the website as well. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification down below. Stay up to date with everything that I do across the board. That goes for any platform that you're watching this on, but especially YouTube, because that's where you're watching this first. But with that said, it is time for us to get into the topic at hand and why you guys are here. Let's talk about Out of the Dark. Now, again, I won't say the movie that I found this on because I don't know if you've seen the episode that I've done on that yet. So I won't really I won't go out of chronological order. All I'm saying, if you watch all the shows, you probably know what I'm talking about. But basically, this one was something I stumbled upon. I was looking for information on something that I was already researching and I was planning on watching and so forth and so on. And then I stumbled onto this one because it's very similar to another movie, or at least in title. So I was like, oh, and I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, okay. You know, this kind of had like that old school ghost movie feel, like Ghost Ship or something like that. And we may or may not do if we haven't done Ghost Ship already. But as of the time of recording this, I've seen that when it first came out. That is an older movie. I'm trying not to do movies that I've already done or that I've already seen that I know. But I mean, it's not to say that I won't do them, you know. But again, my point is this kind of had that feel. And it had similar kind of actors in it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's give it a shot. The trailer actually looked pretty decent. Very deceiving, if I would say that. This had a very minimal story. Very, very minimal story. And very disappointing because, I don't know, by the opening scene, okay, like when this movie starts, there's a scene I won't really, like, again, we don't spoil anything, but this movie starts off strong. This movie starts off with a scene where you're like, oh, okay, that's the type of movie we're going to have. It didn't follow through. It didn't follow through at all. That was probably the most excitement that I had throughout this whole movie. For a ghost story, you would expect jump scares are a big thing in ghost stories. And like you know how in slasher movies, the big thing that you focus on the most in a slasher film is gore. If you don't focus on gore in a slasher film, then did you really make a slasher film? Well, it kind of goes the same thing with ghost stories. When you make ghost stories, if you don't have jump scares, then did you really make a ghost story? Because that's kind of the bread and butter of those type of movies. And this movie had some, it had a few, but they were just really weak and very underperformed. The story at times was extremely predictable. Very, very predictable at that, actually. And that is very disappointing. Like, it seemed like this movie was trying to play it safe. Now, mind you, if I remember correctly, and I do have this information, let me make sure I'm giving you the accurate information because I don't like to misspeak. Yeah, this movie came out in 2015. So, with that being said, this was during a time... I'm trying to think what other good horror movies were coming out at that time. I know we've done other horror movies that were around that period of time as well, but I'm just like, none stand out on them. I'm not saying there wasn't. I'm not saying there wasn't any good horror movies that came out in 2015. I'm just saying I can't really pick any off. I know horror was extremely big in it was really huge in the 70s and 80s. It was okay in the 90s. It wasn't really too big in the 90s. Then it kind of had a resurgence in the 2000s. You know, everybody was making Freddy and Jason movies and all that other shit. And then I think in the 2010s, like horror was there, but it wasn't like it was there and it wasn't there, right? You had some winners, like some slashers and stuff, you know, you had Terrifier and stuff like that. But it wasn't like jam packed with a massive amount of horror movies. There were there, but it just wasn't like, it wasn't the decade, I guess. And now that we're in the 2020s, I think horror is starting to make a resurgence again. And I'm really, really hoping that's the case. I really am. So I guess this is a result of that. This kind of felt like a really, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Faculty. Like that was like a sci-fi horror, if you really want to consider it. And it was a really just had that teen fucking. It was like Scream. Like Scream was another one of those movies where it was just like teenagers and boring concepts, right? And then let's just throw a horror feel over it. That's what it kind of felt like, and that's what it felt like this movie was kind of going for, except it didn't work. Like the story was extremely predictable, and it had plot holes all over the place. The acting was okay, wasn't horrible, but could have been much better. Uh, this, like I said, the story was boring. The gore was damn near not even there. Like they had it in for a little bit, and then they had a few things that were like okay, and then it was just like, really, that's all you're gonna give me? That's it? You're not running with it. Like shit, you dropped the ball. Which here's the thing, I would have given this a pass if I didn't feel like it didn't need it, because not all ghost stories need gore, right? It helps. Ghost stories do benefit from gore. Not they don't have to be over the top. It's not like a slasher film, but it can benefit from gore. And I feel like this movie could have benefited from some decent gore, and the gore that we got was just very lackluster. Everything was very lackluster. Even the production was very lackluster. Like the ghostly figures were just very minimal at best. It wasn't very good. And that is very disappointing when it comes to a ghost story. I don't know. I haven't seen any good ghost stories in a while that really like stuck out and was like, oh damn, that was a good movie. Like I haven't really been there. I haven't really had them. And it's a damn shame. It is a real damn shame that is how it is. Because I think it's a category of horror that has benefit and does have the possibility of being a good film if you know how to write a good ghost story. Ghost Ship, as cheesy as Ghost Ship is, that was also from a time when movies were a lot more simpler. There's another one I'll tell you right now. Like, I've yet to actually do any kind of review on this. Mind you, the reason why I don't want to do a review on it, because I remember it being one of the last terrifying movies that I ever watched. The first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, it did not have the same effect. Was Darkness Falls. So that is the reason why I'm a little afraid of doing a review on that film, because I do remember watching it for the first time. I want to say that was like 2003, 2004. I could be completely wrong on that. But I remember seeing that film and being like, damn, that movie scared the shit out of me the first time I seen it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch it a second time sometime later. And I was like, man, it just does not have it. And that was officially the last horror movie to scare me. It was. I think that was the last one. So eventually I will do probably a review on it. It's sad because I don't know if I would give it the score. If I would have did a review on it being the first film when I watched it the first time, oh my God, it would have probably gotten a good score. But if we're going off the second time, and then if I have to watch it a third time, it probably won't be as good. I don't know. Maybe I forget, and maybe I'll watch it and I'll actually re-enjoy it again. I don't know. My point is, those are good ghost type spirit stories. They are. This was not. This was just very predictable. It's pretty bad when I do a review on a movie and I have to talk about other movies just to say what is good and what is bad. And this was not good. This was very boring, very predictable. Acting was okay. Story was just boring as hell. The gore score, this movie could have benefited from a decent gore score. Or a decent gore. Production was just at minimal. And if we're going straight off the budget, which I will get to here very shortly, this movie was a complete disappointment on multiple factors. Because, I mean, if you're talking that this film had I've said this film didn't have an outrageous budget, but for the budget that it had, you would expect way more. Way more. And now, mind you, this was 2015, so the budget now would be much different. So with that though, I think let's get into the information, right? Because that's kind of where I'm pointing towards. So let's get into that so I can share that. This is a 2015 film. Okay. 2015 film. So, given at the period of time when this film came out, there wasn't, as far as I can remember, there wasn't an immense amount of horror movies that were popular at the time. I could be wrong. It's hard to pull them off the back of my head. I could be totally wrong on it. But I just can't pull anything off the back of my head in 2015 that was completely notable. Style of this film, supernatural, because it is a ghost story. And that's what supernatural is, not paranormal. Paranormal and supernatural, two different things. Again, I've learned that doing this show, that they are not interchangeable. They can be used interchangeable, but there is a difference. Paranormal is usually used in the sense that it can be explained. It's not explained by science, but could eventually be explained by science at one particular point in time, while supernatural is usually things that are just beyond science, right? They're just beyond explanation, beyond our realm. So ghost stories, when it comes to this, like, they usually fall into the supernatural category. Rating, R. I don't even know why this is rated R. Maybe things were different back in 2015. I don't remember. But I don't understand why the hell this film has an R rating. I don't get it. I don't think it deserves it. I think maybe there might have been a few times where it had some like slip ups of maybe some curse words. But other than that, it's like it really didn't have much going for it. I really don't. I don't know how it earned the R. I really don't. I do not know how it earned it. It does not warrant an R. This film does not. Ironically, it has no renting or buying options. Okay, it has none. It has none. I've looked. I mean, maybe on some other streaming, maybe on some other service that I did not check. Maybe you find it on there. It's not on Amazon Prime, and that's usually where I look for my rentals. You can check Fandango and stuff like that and see if it's available there. I don't know, but it is not available on Amazon Prime for purchase. I've looked. That being said, though, streaming services, I watched it on Peacock, but it is available on Amazon Prime Video and so many other streaming services. That says something right there, that it is available on so many different streaming services that it's just like there is no, like, they don't even want to sell it. They're just like, here, just watch the film. Okay. That's where this film is at with this. Okay. So yeah, you can stream it. Like I said, I watched it on Peacock. So if you must watch it, it's there. It is available on Amazon Prime Video for free watch as long as you have Amazon Prime. And then there's a bunch of other ones that it's on. I don't want to list them all, but you can check. They're all there. This film had a budget. That's what really kicks me in the nuts. This film had a budget of $10 million. Where did it go? Where did the $10 million? Because this is not a $10 million movie. This is not at all. Like, very disappointing. Very disappointing. Very, very on across the board. I don't know where the hell the $10 million went. All right. Box office, though. Box office, you want to talk a flop, this was absolutely a flop, because out of a $10 million budget, this movie only made back $1,437,650. Now, mind you, again, I said that horror wasn't extremely popular. Well, it was popular, and it's always popular. Horror is horror, and it's always got its crowd. But it wasn't, like, there's ups and downs when it comes to horror. And I think we're at that up period now. We were down and then we're up, and it seems like every decade it goes up and down, right? Except for the 70s and 80s, because horror was really big in the 70s, 80s. I wouldn't say it was really huge in the 60s. I think it was big in the 50s. But the 70s and 80s, it was really popular in both those. Really popular in the 80s. Really popular. I think that's probably where it had its most boom, was the 80s, and then the noughties, the 2000, it was really popular. But again, even if I don't think this would have gotten much traction, even if 2015 was a good year for horror. I really don't think it was. So that $1.4 million box office off of a $10 million budget, totally understand it. Few people went to go see this movie, probably got horrible reviews from the start. People were just like, fuck it, we're just not going to go. And I usually, like I said, I tell people, hey, listen, you don't have to not watch this film based off of what I say. You can take it how it is, and maybe it'll help you judge. But man, this is not a recommended movie. It's not. Runtime, 1 hour and 33 minutes. And you know what? I don't like saying this. I've said it for other movies and I hate it, but I'm going to say it for this. I was eager for this film to end. I really was. And I hate to say that this movie was too long. It was not interesting enough to be an hour and 33 minutes. It just wasn't. It was a very, very boring movie. And that sucks to say it. But with that said, you know what time it is. It is time to get to the scoring of our film. That's what we do, right? We talk some shit, we give you some information, and then we get to the scores. So let's do that now. Let's get into the scoring. If you don't know how it works, I don't want to really waste everybody's time on going through that. Go to some of the earlier episodes, or even go watch the podcast, and it all basically works the same way, minus a few things, but it basically works the same way. So, with that said, let's get into the scoring of. My bad. I kind of brain farted there. Out of the Dark. That is what we're doing here. I'm going to give you the score. With that said, let's give the score on story. What did I give it? I gave it a 2. Story was very lackluster, very generic, below average, very predictable at times. Like, you would expect more, I guess, from certain films. And the trailer was the best thing of this film. The trailer tricked me into watching it. Like I said, I was going to do another whole movie when I was originally going into it, and I landed up doing this film because, I don't know, the trailer looked good, and the trailer was the best thing. The trailer was so misleading when it went to how good this movie was. The trailer was the best part of the film. I hate to say that, it really was. With that said, let's move over to the acting. What did I give the acting? I gave the acting a 3. The acting was okay. A little above average. Wasn't horrible. The kid actors were, weren't horrible. I'm always picky about when it comes to kid actors because kids they're not really good actors most of the time. There's exceptions, but, not always. And this one, it was subpar at best. Everybody was really kind of like just okay, whatever. Wasn't great. It was okay. Like I said, 3 out of 5. It's not horrible, but it's not bad. Let's move over to the pacing. What did I give the pacing? I gave it a 2.5. Pacing was very average. Like, even with them explaining certain things, it still sucked. Like, that's how predictable. Like, this movie was extremely predictable. It was very lackluster, very generic in a lot of ways. The pacing was just bad. I didn't care about the family. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't even care about the people leading up to it and why the story was what it was. The pacing was just very lackluster. I was bored. I was very, very bored. Let's move on to the gore score. What did I give the gore score? And again, I want to emphasize this. This movie could have benefited from a decent gore score. Some jump scares and some gore and a good gore score. It could have benefited from it. But I gave the gore score a 1.5 because the minimal gore that was in here, it was just fucking boring. Like, and again, ghost stories don't always need gore. Again, I want to make sure I make that clear. What slasher films benefit from gore and maybe some jump scares, but primarily gore. Ghost stories primarily benefit from jump scares. This movie had barely of either. And the ones that it did have, the jump scares that it did have were very lackluster. And the gore was just subpar at best. It was just very weak, very weak. The fact, again, that this had had an R rating, I don't, why? Like the gore, like shit. So I don't understand. That being said, let's move over to the production. What did I give the production? I gave it a 2.5. Very, very bare bones. Again, $10 million. $10 million this movie cost, okay? And while that's not the highest by any means movie that we've ever seen, but for $10 million, you expect way more than this movie delivered. It was very boring, very just set pieces sucked. Production camera work were very boring. Most of the cool special effects were really done towards the end of the film, and it was just like I don't know. Production was just weak. Soundtrack was weak. Camera work was subpar, average. Just boring, just all around. Even the makeup and everything was just boring. I hate to say it because there are good ghost stories and they can make them really good. This was not one of them, not by any means. With that said, let's get into the overall score. What did I give Out of the Dark? I gave the overall score a 4. That is the best I could do for this film. I do not recommend this film at all. This is not going to get my recommendation. If you want to watch it, like I said, I watched it on Peacock. If it's not available on Peacock, it'll probably be available on something else. It is available. I've seen it on multiple streaming services. I just chose to, out of all the streaming services that we have here, I chose to use Peacock. I did see it on Amazon Prime Video. I've seen it on quite a few others. So, I mean, take your pick. But, I mean, I watched it. If you really must watch it, sure, go watch it on one of those. It does not have a renting and buy option. So, I mean, that's kind of a red flag right there. If they don't even, it's like a straight to streaming service video. And I know that's not how it originally was. I'm pretty sure when this movie came out, it was probably, you know, out on DVD. And it probably is, they probably do have DVD, and it probably is rentable somewhere else. Just not on the sources that I did. So, again, I do not recommend this film. This does not get my recommendation. But if you must watch it, go watch it on one of the streaming services, I guess. But yeah, that's basically what I think. Just all around crappy movie and a waste of time. So yeah, sad to say it. If you agree with what I had to say, leave those comments down below and let me know that I'm wrong. If this was a good movie and you think that this was unjustly rated. But if you do agree with what I had to say, you can also do the same. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode. Let me know what you thought about the movie. Spoilers, do not put them in the comments. That's a no-no. We don't spoil it on the show. You don't spoil it in the comments. And I know there's somebody in there that's going to do it, and we'll do our very best to try to remove it. But that is the show, guys. That is the show. So make sure to leave your comments down below. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Stay up to date with everything that I do across the board. That's all of the socials that I have all content on, whether it's gaming, movies, music, arts and crafts, whatever. All that and more can be found. HulisVision.com. Check it out. Share it. Love it. Pass it around. Get people involved. The merch store is there. If you want to help financially, you can donate money and all the other ways that we have. You can also get yourself some merch, whether it's Grimm Tales related, Hulis Vision related, revision, game nights, whatever. It's all there, and I'm sure it keeps getting added as time goes on. That is not the only way. As always, you can just as well just pass it around, get more people involved. It goes a long way. Word of mouth is extremely important as well. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like I said, come join us next Friday for another Grimm Tales Deep Cuts, because that's what we do every Friday, 2 p.m. EST. Hopefully you like that. Like I said, give it a thumbs up, like it, follow it. Everything is very important. Get over on our other platforms, do the same thing. Get in the Discord, communicate with us, get involved in the podcast or whatever else we do. Great way to do it. The Discord, all that and more. HulisVision.com. But with that said, I'm going to get the hell out of here, get you guys on your way, and join me for the next one. Until then, peace out, peeps, and I will see you on the next one.